are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the College League Podcast. I'm Dylan Ebleting on Twitter. Here talking today in the latest Auburn athletics news. As we're going to start the show today with a little bit of recruiting news before we get on with the conversation for today, which is how good can Auburn's secondary be in 2025? Now, starting off with recruiting, of course, everyone knows Auburn's in the middle of some recruiting woes, if I must say. Currently ranked in the 80s on 24/7. But of course, Auburn was able to pick up a commitment this weekend on July 4th in three-star tight end Kentrell White chose Auburn over Virginia Tech, 6'4", 210-pound tight end out of Atlanta, Georgia. And dude is an absolute athletic freak, multi-sport athlete, plays both track and field as well as, of course, football. Dude is quick, is long arms, and is a all-around just great receiving tight end that I think adds very well to what Auburn could do in the future. Now, of course, with that, with a great pickup in Kentrell White, you also need to start building up that momentum going in the correct direction. Now, of course, there's a conversation to be had, and we might have to touch on this at some point, about how Auburn is recruiting right now, how teams are recruiting against Auburn, because I've heard some rumors that I hope aren't true, because good Lord, get better, other coaches, if it is true. But overall, I think that it comes down to, I mean, if Auburn's recruiting honestly, that's one thing. So you can't go and not get a top 25 class if you're Hugh Freeze. And Hugh Freeze is very confident that he can bring this class back to where it is, stating August 1st is going to be a big day for Auburn in terms of, those offers actually start hitting the table. So I think that that's a good starting point. I'll hold off on bashing any more recruiting until August 1st. And, if things start, going downhill, then it's got to open the conversation back up. But hopefully what the rumors I've heard aren't true. I really hope they're not, especially about the teams offering. And, of course, I do believe this one is true. I can talk about this one. Teams offering more money than what they're originally going to give the recruit. I think that's just absolutely scummy. You're trying to trap a kid, really. And of course, I don't think these kids should be getting millions of dollars out of high school. I think that's absolutely ridiculous to offer a kid millions of dollars. I mean, there was one kid out of Michigan. He just decommitted after committing not too long ago because they were not going to follow along with this $4 million deal that he wanted to have over the next 3 to 4 years of him being there. I'm all for supporting the athletes, but of course, I mean, you can't be I'd be remiss to say. I mean, you could show the high school the state of the NIL program and what they could start at, but making an offer for them to commit it's weird. It's weird. It's gross. I hate it. That's the trajectory of the NCAA and the trajectory of how college football has kind of been shifted in the wrong direction. It sucks. It really does suck for the sport, and it sucks for the fans. And it sucks for the players, sucks for the coaches who have to try to recruit and constantly, change how they do things every single year because some new rule opens up. There's a new transfer portal window that opens up, either has been or is about to, which is absolutely dumb. I don't know why anyone in the world would try to transfer right before the season starts. You've already gone through a spring, a summer workouts with them, and you barely even started fall workouts yet. And then you just go on and change teams. That's stupid. Absolutely stupid. If you transfer at that point, I hope that, I don't know if that was part of the rule, but you should definitely be sitting out a year if you transfer this late on. But as we get ready to continue on the remainder of the show, I wanted to add a little bit more of a series. I guess add another series. That's the better way of saying that, to the schedule as we move forward. Today, I want to start the position preview series, and you usually start off with the quarterbacks in this, but I think the more interesting conversation is Auburn's secondary. Now, I went through, I didn't get any of the walk-ons, but for the most part, every single player you can expect to see in 2025, none of them are seniors. This is a pretty, a younger class coming in of DBs to play this year. I mean, and overall, I mean, I've talked about ad nauseum at this point. I think Auburn's defense is going to be really good going into this year, and I guess leaving this year would be the better terminology there. But I think Auburn's defense could finish in the top 5 in the SEC. And a lot of that's got to play into my confidence level that I have for the secondary. Coach Crime Dog did a great job last year with what he had, trying to fit in spots for guys that were struggling, trying to fit in these younger guys. And whenever guys got hurt, Auburn didn't have the depth. You have the depth now. I mean, I have tabs open. I'm looking at the safeties on my right monitor, and there's 7 tabs open. Over here on my main monitor, I got 8 tabs open. And that's what you want to see. You want to see the depth. That was something that hurt Auburn last year when it came to the secondary. When it came to positions of need going into the recruiting cycle, you needed DBs, you needed corners, you needed safeties, you needed stars, you needed all of that. And the guys I'm going to start off with first are the guys, of course, that you already know. The guys who played last year going into this year, starting at the cornerback position, looking at Jay Crawford, a guy who came out of, I don't want to say came out of nowhere. He was a dog in high school, but a true freshman, SEC all freshman team, 15 tackles, 7 PBUs. Dude was an absolute beast, and we talked about him whenever he signed. This is an Auburn corner right there. Whenever you think of an Auburn corner, you think of those tenacious, right in your face corners that are just annoying to try to get around. Jay Crawford was that and more as a true freshman, and going into a sophomore year. I mean, I never hope for a slump. God forbid, you never hope for your own team for that to have that. But Jay Crawford, I think, goes into this year with a lot to show off for not only the SEC, but to the nation. I think seeing how good he was and seeing, if that's just him as a freshman, he's going to go off whenever he is, upperclassman, ready to get into the NFL draft conversation. Absolute dog. And then you combine him with Kayen Lee, a guy who's going to play on the outside alongside Crawford. And, last year, did not start off at the beginning of the year, but worked his way into being the starter for the majority of the season. 32 tackles, 7 PBUs. Another guy, came in last year as a sophomore, and then he also got some playing time. He played every single game as a true freshman. This was such a big get whenever it happened for that recruiting class that Hugh Freeze first brought in, flipping a guy out of Ohio State who, Ohio State's in that DBU conversation. And Kayen Lee gives Auburn an argument for that too going forward. Of course, this is a year where if Kayen Lee has another great year, he could end up going to the NFL draft if it turns out as it could. I mean, I think Kayen Lee, another guy, man-to-man guy who, gets in your face, a lot of speed. If he gets the ball, if he gets some more interceptions, can do a lot of damage with the ball in his hands. Super stoked to see Kayen Lee going into his 3rd year as a starter, or I don't want to say as a starter. He was on the starter his freshman year, but he definitely was the starter towards the end. But going forward, I really think this DB core, starting off with just the first 2, I mean, that's a solid duo. And then you bring in that star role. And, you don't really know right now who it's going to be, but I have my personal biases towards Champ Anthony. I love everything about Champ Anthony's game. Just what he does at his size. He is 5'11", 180 pounds, and he will play against a 6'4" wide receiver. Like he is 6'2", 220, or 200. Let me just say 200, 210, something along those lines. Dude's an absolute beast. And I hate that he was about to have an all, American level game against Arkansas, had a terrible injury that knocked him out for the remainder of the season. But dude is an absolute dog, and I hope he gets to play the full season because Champ Anthony is one of the most fun players on the field. Whenever he is on, he is on. I watched this kid when he was a JUCO. I watched the film whenever he committed. He was just so fun to watch. His film is so fun. And again, I think Champ Anthony starts at that nickel position, at that star role. And I think you do mix in some of the safeties in there, one part being Kinsley Falston. I think you see him in that star position as well. But I'm really stoked to see Champ Anthony be the starting nickel for the whole year. And right now, I mean, that's a starting lineup, and that's a very good lineup for just going into this year. And I think Auburn goes into this year underrated secondary. I mean, and the thing is, they're young, they're young, so that's probably why you're not getting a lot of attention towards them. But with Crime Dog in charge, that three right there, you should be very confident going forward with that. And then you bring in the guys you from the transfer portal as well as from the recruiting cycle. Starting off with the transfers, I mean, Rayon Strader, I mean, he has been getting every single look, All-American, All-SEC, all of that stuff. Was an All-MAC player last season. Was the MAC cornerback of the year, was an All-American as well. One of the top DBs in the country out of Miami, Ohio, transferred to Auburn. And of course, I don't think he's going to be a starter because I think you just have so much like potential with Jay Crawford. But I mean, dude, I think Rayon Strader coming into this year as a junior, I think you just have a solid guy. You can try when Jay Crawford needs a break. You're not batting an eye at the fact that Rayon Strader would walk out on the field. That's something that's so great about this secondary is the fact that they have the capabilities to just throw another guy out there and you're fine with how it looks, with the confidence that you have in that player to get the job done. And you could buy Rayon Strader with another transfer in Rayshawn Pleasant, who, sophomore player last year, going to this year as a junior, another star player. Was from Tulane last year, 27 tackles, had a pick, 3 PBUs, also a monster return man last year, 2 kickoff returns for a touchdown. Absolute beast. And and he's already been a guy that you've already seen in preseason All-American lists. He's been all over that. And Phil Stills put him in his one of his All-SEC teams. He has been up for awards. He's on a watch list. I mean, I'm pretty sure all these guys are. Rayon Strader is. Crawford, Kayen Lee are. These guys are up for these awards as watch list guys right off the bat. And then again, that's the transfer portal guys. These freshmen coming up. And I'm going to start off with Donovan Starr and David Williams first. They're probably going to get the least amount of playing time out of these guys, but they were really good during spring ball. Got to see Donovan Starr at A-Day and got to see him go one-on-one with some of the top guys in this wide receiver room, which we'll be talking about the wide receiver room very, very soon. I think the freshmen that you're seeing right now, I mean, they're going to develop extremely well. And a guy that I think you're going to see right away is Blake Woodby. Guy came out of Maryland, St. Francis Academy. And what I said about Jay Crawford, whenever you watch this film, you were like, this guy epitomizes what it means to be an Auburn corner. Blake Woodby is that already. He was an absolute monster in spring ball, not giving up big plays. He was able to get a handle where the ball was going to. Absolute monster. And a guy, I mentioned Rayon Strader and Rayshawn Pleasant as guys that you can, older guys that you can go onto the field and you're not worried about them whatsoever. Blake Woodby might give you that as a true freshman. And that's absolutely ridiculous. And the one thing that's crazy about these guys right now that I just talked about, every single one of them can come back for 2026. Don't imagine they all will. I probably imagine some of them are going to have a good enough year where they're just going to go to the NFL draft. Someone that said the NBA draft just because it just happened. But I can see a lot of these guys going to the NFL draft if their season pans out well. I mean, Rayshawn Pleasant would have eligibility to go. Strader, Kayen Lee. I mean, those would be your guys you'd probably have to worry about going to the NFL draft. But one of the best things about this cornerback room is the fact that if someone gets behind them, there's a whole group of safeties that will either make the quarterback pay or going to make the wide receiver pay. And that's the two things you want to hear about every single safety that wears that orange and blue. Starting off with Caleb Harris, last year took, as well as Jay Crawford, took this secondary by storm as a true freshman. Played in almost every single game. I do believe he played in every game. Was a midseason true freshman All-American last year. Made a lot of great plays. Was a heads-up guy. Whenever the ball came his way, you knew that wide receiver was not going to catch it. Absolute demon back there at safety. Super fun guy to play to watch. And again, this guy's a true sophomore. and he is absolutely ridiculous. The ball knowledge that he has. I mean, you're going to a year, you're basically going to be your second year as a starter because he didn't really start off as the starter last year, but definitely earned that spot as the season came along. But absolutely ridiculous. And then, of course, you had two sophomores to put alongside of him in Sylvester Smith, who was a redshirt freshman and last season, as well as Kinsley Falston, who was a true freshman last year. Kinsley Falston didn't see a whole lot of him. He did play 9 games, but did not do a whole lot, but did impress in the plays that we did see him do. But Sylvester Smith, I did believe, was going to be the other starter alongside Caleb Harris. And last year, again, redshirt safety, mixed around in that room, 29 tackles, started 6 games last year, and just an absolute playmaker. And again, I look at the other guys that are behind him, and I mean, there's not as many as are in the cornerback room, which means you don't need as many corners as you need safeties, or backward. You don't need as many safeties as you need corners. But Auburn went to the portal for safeties and picked up a guy in Tay Seymour out of Georgia Tech. And last year, he was 7 starts, played in 10 games for Tech, 46 tackles, 3 TFLs. And again, just another guy who just outplayed what we saw and made a lot of good plays against Georgia in a game that, went for 25 overtimes. You add a depth guy like that who, again, as I said about Strader and Pleasant, guys that you can see go on the field and you're not worried about what will happen. You look at the guys that are back there and you know that there's not a drop off. And if there is, it's not massive enough for it to be noticeable. And then you have Amon Lane Gaines coming in, a redshirt freshman as well. Didn't really get to play too much, played in 4 games, kept his red shirt. But a guy who was very talented in high school. Great. Going to be very fun to see much more of him this season. Definitely going to be a dude to watch out for because, you haven't really seen a whole lot of him. Only played in the 4 games that he needed to play and keep his red shirt. But the fun part about the safety room are the duo of true freshman guys who were 2 of the biggest names in spring ball. 2 guys who took the field by storm, not only in spring practices, but in the spring game, put the quotes around it. Eric Winters out of Enterprise, and of course, Anquan Fegans out of Anniston, or Thompson. We just put Thompson. That way, if you don't know them already, you know the high school, very, very good high school in the state of Alabama. But Eric Winters, absolute athlete in every sense of the word. Dude played quarterback at Enterprise and was an absolute beast. But at safety, he has one of the best eyes for the football that I've ever seen out of a freshman. That sentiment goes to Anquan Fegans as well. I mean, when I went to 8A, I saw 2 interceptions. One went to Eric Winters. The other one went to Anquan Fegans. These 2 are going to be a tandem to watch out for going forward. And, I pose the question just how good the secondary can be. And, I think the SEC boasts about how good the defenses are in this conference every single year. When I look at the secondaries, I mean, there's always going to be your heavy hitters at the top. Georgia, LSU, Texas, Bama could be on the list, but I could see Auburn being right there in the mix with these guys, just with sheer talent. I mean, looking at these guys, there's not a mix-up that you would hate. I mean, unless you just put all the freshmen in there, maybe that'd be something you'd probably be a little worried about. But Blake Woodby, Anquan Fegans, and Eric Winters, those are 3 freshmen right now that I could trust with my life on the field right now. And Donovan Starr and Devin Williams are going to get there. And then you have guys that you already trust because you've seen them play at the highest level of the game. And Jay Crawford, Kayen Lee, Champ Anthony, Sylvester Smith, Caleb Harris. You get to see a lot more Kinsley Falston and Amon Lane Gaines. And then you bring those transfers, Rayon Strader, Rayshawn Pleasant, Tay Seymour. This secondary group is going to be legit. And again, would not shock me. I already said the defense is going to be top 5. This secondary group could be top 5, and you could see some of these guys work their way up. I mean, if you go look at the latest NFL mock drafts, I mean, you already have Keldrick and Eric Singleton being in that top round conversation, And yeah, they deserve to be there. I think you could see a couple of these guys work their way up into that same conversation that you see Keldrick Falk and Eric Singleton in right now. And again, that's got like Kayen Lee, Rayshawn Pleasant, Rayon Strader. I would probably say Kayen Lee and Rayon Strader more than Rayshawn. I think Rayshawn probably could use another year. But Strader with he already racked up the accolades that you need to get that kind of conversation centered your way. And then Kayen Lee being basically a 3-year starter, a SEC school gets you that look already. But Kayen Lee is just good enough to where you are already looking at him that way. This secondary can be really good, and this defense is going to be really good. It's all about if the offense can be coherent. I trust Durkin. I trusted Durkin to get this defense right, and he did it last year with a coagulation of athletes that play defense and turn that into a very solid unit. Now you give him another year, you give him a big old bag of money, put it on his desk. Say, all right, make him better. I trust he can make him better. And with Crime Dog coaching up this DB room, dude, quote Michael Jackson or Michael Jordan, not Michael Jackson. Quote Michael Jordan, the ceiling is the roof. There's really no ceiling on these guys. This group could be absolutely legit. All of them are dogs. Every single one of them. I didn't miss any of them, but they're all dogs. Every single one of them. So let me know what you think of the secondary in the comment section below. Of course, up next, I don't know what position I want to do next. Let me know what you want to see next on the position preview. Quarterback is going to probably be the boring one. Can't lie. So I'll probably save that one for last. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. How good can the secondary be? Who's going to lead Auburn in interceptions in 2025? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. But of course, no ad today. Don't worry, no ad. Gonna go ahead and get us out of here. Again, pre-recorded show. I'm currently in Florida with my family, so relaxing. Still regular schedule throughout the week. But of course, check us out, audio version of the show, Spotify, Podcast, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. Check us out on right here on YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget as well, subscribe to the channel. 1,000 subscribers, getting so close to that milestone. Also, if you didn't catch it already, I posted on Instagram. I did put it on Twitter. I almost did, but also on TikTok. I have reopened my original brand that I had before I started the College Loop, which is a SEC football page called Tank Talks Football. It's on Instagram. It's on Facebook. It's on TikTok at Your Boy the Tank. Of course, that's just me. You can find me on there as well. If you want to follow me personally, Twitter at Your Boy the Tank, as well as Instagram at Dylan Larck, DYLNLRCK. That's going to do so on the College Loop podcast. I want to wish everyone a happy Independence Day. I hope everyone was safe, enjoyed some hot dogs, hamburgers, fireworks. Hope everyone got to enjoy that. Another momentous day in America. I think next year's the big old 250. So super stoked for that. But of course, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Super quick show, 23 minutes. Nice little show. With that being said, thanks for tuning in to the College Loop podcast yet again. And as always, War Eagle.